And we will have our final presentation now, coming up from a man who wears actually two hats at the same time. By the day, he is the CEO of Made Brave, a global brand and creative agency, and also crowned Agency of the Year in Scotland. And by night, or at least after school pickup, he is one half of the father and son TikTok duo with over 250 million views. Here is Dobbie. I don't know, where's the clicker? With Lars somewhere, no? Oh yeah.
Hi everyone. So I'm very aware that I have the worst slot because I'm holding you back from beer, I'm holding you back from party, and I know that the Lithuanians like to party as much as we do in Scotland. So I'm going to talk quick and I'm going to keep this high-paced. So yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of a global brand and creative agency called Made Brave. And what really gets me out my bed in the morning is trying my very hardest to inspire creativity in everyone I come across, and hopefully a little bit of bravery. And so if I do my job here today, I'm going to leave you in this last session feeling just that. But I'm going to start, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the magic of creativity, because we've heard everyone speaking today, and we're all trying to figure out how do we insert ourselves into culture, how do we get that great creative campaign. And it's tough, right? But the only way we're going to ever get there is if we have creativity and we're inspired ourselves, and if we inspire our teams to be able to get there. Now, in the spirit of being brave, I'm going to start today by being a little bit vulnerable. So I wasn't brought into this world with the name Dobbie. I was actually born with the name Stephen Jakes. And when I was in the womb, my birth mum here, Shona, she took mentally unwell, and she tried to take both her life and my life, and she jumped from the hospital window and landed on the roof below, trying to take both her life. Now, thankfully, I'm here, and she's still alive, and I survived, and I was one of the lucky ones because at 30 days old, I was adopted into this little collection of people, and they're called the Dobbies, and we're all adopted from different families, and we were grouped together as a little family. And what makes my instance even more lucky was that I was adopted by this lady here. So this is Maureen, this is my mum. And since birth, she's been severely deaf in one ear and profoundly deaf in the other. She's 3% and 7% in this ear. And I learned so much from this lady because she didn't let the limits in her life dictate her possibilities. And she was so inspiring, and she just never let anything stop her. She travels all around the world on her own. And I learned all about resilience. I learned all about attitude to life and what was possible if you put your mind to things. And this is a really beautiful moment when she was 69. She's now 85. She got a cochlear implant. And the doctor said to me, Andrew, your mum is going to, when you take her home today, she's going to hear sounds that she's never heard in life. And she said to me when we got home, what's that noise? And I said, Mum, that's a little robin redbreast chirping outside. And I just thought it was such a beautiful moment. I want to share that with you. And I was lucky because she spotted and she nurtured creativity in me. And as young as I can remember, she would come home from the shops on a Saturday and she would have a big pile of colouring in competitions and she'd hand them all to me and she would nurture my creativity. I actually won the first mountain bike in my village. No one had any idea what it was. That's how I'm 44, in case, and it was the first one. And if I wasn't doing creativity, if I wasn't colouring in, I had a little magic set. That was my first magic set, hence the name of my speech today. Or I was playing Metallica in my band at school. But I was always destined for a career in creativity. And it's always got me really interested. Do we get creativity from our DNA? Did I get that from my birth parents? Or was it the way that my adopted mum nurtured me? Was it the environment she put me in? And was it how she cared for me? Fast forward to I was 18. I got a job working for this guy. He was the ex-Scotland and Celtic football captain. I know nothing about football, but I think that's why he liked me. And I was also training to be an MMA fighter. You can see my magician name stuck around. You didn't see that one coming, did you? But unfortunately, or fortunately perhaps, this was all cut short when this little guy appeared in the scene. So this is Finlay, my son. And when he was just 2 weeks old, I had my last salary, I had £1,000 in the bank, and I thought, what a bloody good time to leave your job and start a business. Now, Finlay looked a little bit more like that, and a real nice circled moment around that time. Now, this is a more recent photo, but I got to meet my birth grandmother. She's an art teacher. I got to meet my birth granddad. He's an architect. I got to meet my birth auntie. She works in theatre. And I also learned I had a brother, and he had been growing up in Edinburgh while I was growing up in Glasgow. My birth mum, from the beginning, she got better at one point, and she had another child. So we have the same birth mother, but different fathers. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm just about to start a business. And I said, well, I'm just starting a business. I'm starting a creative agency, a branding agency. He said, well, I'm starting this kind of beer subscription. I said, I'll brand it. So I branded his business, and it grew to become, he went on Dragon's Den, and it grew to become the biggest e-commerce beer business in the UK. And I set my cage fighting, guitar playing, magician sights on becoming Scotland's best known creative agency. And this was the first Made Brave office. I had no resources, and when we often start, we don't have resources. And sometimes, again, those limitations are what make great things possible. And you can see Finlay was there with me in his little cot that day. But what I had was belief, because my mum had given me belief. She'd given me great belief. And we've all heard these 4 words some point in our life. And these are the most magical words that you can give to someone. This is the best gift you can give to someone in your team, someone in your family. And when we hear belief and we have belief, well, that unlocks confidence. And when we feel confident, that unlocks bravery. And when we feel brave, we can go and we can do the most impossible things that we never thought that we can do. And so you're all here and you all market different products, different services. And we're always trying to, how do we get ahead of someone else? But the sooner we get to the realization that all of the brands that we build are built by people, and people are built and fueled by belief. And the best brands we all know, they're a really pointed belief. With Lego and Ben and creativity, that's the pure North Star for that brand. And all the best brands, they're guided by their values, they guide the behaviors of their teams, they guide the actions, and they guide their entry point into culture. And I've always believed that the best brands are built from the inside out. So when you go back to your companies, when you go back to your brands, instead of thinking, where do I insert myself in TikTok, look inward and look at the team and think about, how do I turn my marketing team into a full tribe? How do I get the whole tribe out the whole company rather than just one division? And we recently rebranded First Bus, which is the biggest transport organization in the UK. And before we got to any of this creative stuff, we had to find shared purpose, and we had to get that whole business believing in that the bus is not just a mundane thing. And when you think about the bus, it's the thing that moves the whole country. It moves everything. So when you start to talk about movement, you get the license to talk about stories, you get license, and when you get the whole business involved in that journey, when you come up with crazy ideas, they become much easier to sell in. So we created a nursery grime video of the wheels on the bus go round and round, and we got local grime artists to collaborate with us on that. We partnered with local fashion designers, and we took the traditional material from the bus interiors, and we made a fashion brand. But when I started my agency, people said to me, oh, just do great work and everything else will look after itself. And it's the same with your products or services. Just do great products and everything looks after. But it doesn't, right? That has to be a given. The work you do has to be great. And I always said, I'm going to try and be famed for these 3 things, because if I create great work or have a great culture, I'm going to have happy people and they're going to create great work. And so we codified our own values. We used these to guide the content that we created for my brand. So I concentrated on building a brand for the agency, not just doing the work. And I always looked at team shots and said, why are they so bloody boring? And we did these kind of things. They take ages, but I did the things that other people wouldn't do. And you can see that Finlay always appeared in every one of our shots throughout the history. And every time I turned up and did something as a business, I thought about, you have to believe that everything is a story. And if someone's not writing about your brand, they're writing about mine. So make sure everything you do as a brand and a business is a story. And you need to get out like I'm here today, like we're all here today, and you need to talk. And what we're trying to do with our brands is, as important as it is to attract people, we're looking to repel people who don't believe in the same thing as us. And that's like someone said earlier on, it's better to have 100 people that love your brand than 1,000 people that just like it. And for me, we've become one of the top 100 businesses to work for in the UK. We've been named Marketing Society's Agency of the Year, which feels like a real arrival moment for us. And we now get to work and play with some of the biggest brands in the world as well. And like we mentioned, I'm the least talented half now of TikTok's favorite father-son duo. So this is the little baby we started off at the beginning of my story today. And a little side story here. So in the pandemic, when we were all at home, I picked up TikTok like we all did and started creating content. And then I thought, we need to do something to get us outside. So I spent the worst 3 days of my life. Creative people like me aren't used to digging, so I dug this. I put a trampoline in my garden, and I built a calisthenics station so I could keep fit. And Finn said, Dad, come and film this trick, and this video here. Now, and I was, so I filmed it now. If you've not caught it, it's in reverse, right? But I was like, I'm going to put this in reverse, Finn. This is going to go so fucking viral. They're never going to believe. Now, we put that online. That one got 14 million views. And a really good little hack I've got for you today. If you've had one viral video, the answer to your next one is in the comments of that one. So I looked in the comments, and people were either arguing, it's in reverse, it's not in reverse, it's haters will say it's in reverse, haters, they were doing that, or they were saying, never let them know your next move, or they were saying, he's like a tiny Spider-Man. So I went, Amazon, Spider-Man outfit, changed the hook. Finn, let's do the same thing again. And that video got 72 million views, and it was the 8th most watched reel in the world that year. So kind of cool for a little 8-year-old boy. Now that sent us off on a real creative play. I was like, we've got a very narrow moment of time here, Finn. There's lots of people going to be looking at our channel. Now, we ended up creating these 360 mukbang ASMR videos, and if that is not a niche, then I don't know what is. But we basically use this 360 camera. You might have spotted me walking about with it. We create these little videos. And we created one for World Chocolate Day, and I got some Nutella, and I was like, what's the grossest thing the internet would like to see dipped in that? So I got some Wotsits, or Cheetos as they call them in America, dipped them in it, and I got this message saying, Andrew, we're going to have Will Smith react and recreate your video. Let me try that. So yeah, next minute, Will Smith is recreating our technique, and he shared that across all his channels. I don't know who was more excited, whether it was Finn or me, but yeah, I'm still getting over that one. So really, can creativity be nurtured? Well, I believe it can. I think I'm part proof of that. I think I've had some creativity in me at birth, but I think it was definitely down to how my mum looked after me and how she nurtured that creativity when she spotted it. Now, just before I finish up today, I'm quite lucky because I get to travel to these wonderful places and meet wonderful people like you. And I thought for this last piece of my talk, because I get to meet all these wonderful creative people, and these are just some of the people that I've met in my journey. And when they say all these interesting things, I have this little Made Brave notebook, and you can see like when I learned about Simon Sinek's why it's in there. I've got all these little random things. And every one of these ideas give me lots of ideas, and I'm just looking for a volunteer who could... Someone that can read English well. You want to go? You're not going to have to come up. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to flick through the book, and we're going to pick something at random. Okay, but you're not going to say it out loud. There's going to be a phrase, a word, or a sentence, and then you're going to write it on here and fold it up. So just say stop anywhere at all. Stop. Yeah. Okay. You got something? Got it? Oh my God. Someone got it there, yeah? going to whisper it. Or you
Do they need
just,
a mic?
Okay. So you got it? Just remember that. Take a photo of that. Take a photo of that. What have you got? Oh, sorry. Okay, but don't say out loud yet. Okay, right. Never done this in a non-English speaking country before, so here we go.
Do they need a mic there? Or?
No, we're okay at the moment, yeah. So while you're doing that and you're writing it down, I'm going to tell you a story. In 2016, I got a visit to San Francisco, one of these once-in-a-lifetime trips. I got into the inside workings of Pixar, IDEO, Twitter, Facebook, all these places. And when I was there, what struck me was that creativity wasn't something that happened by luck or by chance, that it was specifically engineered in these companies. And this is Pixar's main atrium, and they had designed this, Steve Jobs had designed this so that teams had to collide together to create these little magical moments, these little creative collisions. Tony Hsieh from Zappos did the same thing. He purposefully or famously closed down a corridor from the car park to the offices so that teams had to collide together. And we've all had those little moments where we pass by, oh, hi, yeah, oh, that thing, and then suddenly you've got an idea forms and something happens. And I'm pretty sure it's why Apple's building has been designed like this, right? Because they want their teams cross-pollinating and bumping into each other throughout the day. Because it's those little moments become these big ideas. But we don't always get it right as leaders. And I'm going to tell you a moment where I got it very wrong. So 2019, Made Brave was going brilliant. I was like, this is our year. I invested £300,000 and I kitted out the ultimate office. I took all the inspiration I had from San Francisco, meeting all these creative people. I built a bar, had neon lights. It looks a lot like the inside of my head. And I was like, this is so good. Let's invite all of our clients, all of our friends, all of our partners. We had a big party. We had a famous band. And then this guy appeared on the television. And I don't know about you, right? But I'm the guy on the right, okay? So I don't like to watch the news because it just sucks all the creative energy out of me. But thankfully in my business, I've got a polar opposite to me. I've got this guy, and he loves the news. He loves it, and he's always, oh, we need to think about this and do that. And he had some ideas, and we were one of the first businesses in Scotland to take our teams home before we were all forced to go home. And then a couple of months later, June, I felt really obliged. I don't know, when you're on LinkedIn and all these big companies were like, people can work wherever they want. People can, and we're like, little business. I just invested £300,000 in an office, and I'm like, oh my God. So I put out, Made Bravers can work for home forever. Now, I've since learned that forever is a word you should use quite rarely in your vocabulary. Because it was right at that time, because we were scared, right? We needed to go home, we needed to be with our families and get in our caves, and we needed to protect everyone. But what I noticed in my company was that creativity started to dwindle, our campaigns weren't the same, my energy wasn't the same. And it's because, and it's like why we're here today, we're built for connection, we're built for creativity, and when we collaborate together in person, it actually releases dopamine in our brain. And I had a big decision to make as a leader, because I had to carry on down the path because I'd spent the money and I'd said to the world, but knowing it wasn't the right path, or I had to decide and bring my team back. And so I chose courage over ego. And I would love to say that's the end and my business has been brilliant and perfect. However, it took a trip to Amsterdam to figure out what I had missed out. So I'd been invited to this place called the Social Hub. There's 17 of these across Europe, and there was one about to launch in Glasgow, and they wanted me to be an ambassador of it. I had no idea what it was, and it's a hotel. So you've got international travelers, it's student accommodation, so you've got young, cool people. It's co-working, it's bars, restaurants, all merged together, all mashed together. And when they were talking to me about the business, they showed this slide, and I was like, these guys have nailed it. Straight out of the pandemic, they've realized that all of these things interact. Our lives, our families, everything comes together. And they had created, what I like to think is the ultimate space for creative collisions. And what I forgot to mention when I invested that £300,000, I also signed a 10-year lease. And that was 30 days before the pandemic. And I was like, I had a break in my lease at 4 years. And so I had a decision to make. Do I leave all that behind and move and find my way into here? And I said to the founder of Social Hub, Charlie, let me come in and I'll be your anchor tenant. And so he said, yes, well, let's do it. We broke the lease. I left all that behind. And we took the Made Brave drone. We dropped it in. I persuaded them to let me do a really nice creative fit out. And then I pinched a little idea for Apple, a little round building, but I put it right in the center of my studio so that my team have to collide on a constant basis. So what I want to say was, and kind of sum up, is that, belief, creativity, culture, they don't happen by accident. They're not luck. They're not by chance. They're nurtured. They're designed, and you can design them in your own businesses, and you can nurture them in your families and in your teams. That reminds me. So, do we know what word it was that you got, or sentence? Serendipity. So, serendipity is actually a really lovely word to sum up what I've just been talking about, right? Because serendipity is a lucky happening, lucky moment. When you reach down to pick up your keys, but you find some money that you've lost, or a lucky moment. And I'm sure had lots of lucky moments today. But I didn't leave this moment up to luck, because remember the little magician that I showed you earlier on? And I actually forced serendipity, because you've been staring at the word serendipity on my bottle of San Pellegrino. And just to prove that was the word that I forced you to pick and forced you to take today. And so the message to leave you with is, don't sit back and hope for luck. Engineer these little moments of magic. Start by building belief. It's such a powerful thing in people. Build belief around something and get them to follow you. And nurture that creativity by building a values-driven brand and placing, like I did with Social Hub, I took them out and into culture, in amongst all those collisions. And I believe if you do those things, you'll have a better chance of creating those little magic moments than when you don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful, and very personal. I mean, go and check out the TikTok as well. I mean, I understand you're actually teaching people how to go viral, right?
Yeah, do a little bit of that, yeah. Just in amongst everything else.
Yeah, all right, so share like one secret how to go viral on TikTok.
Yeah, I honestly think the tip I gave you is always in the comments. It's always there right under your nose, but most people don't look at the comments. And it's usually just a combination of playing with the different things that people are already telling you.
I see, okay, good. Then Mantas will get the book. Mantas, please stand up. The book is on your way. Thank you for the question. How do you encourage bravery for clients who in the first meeting promise that they are creative and brave, but in the end pick up only safe work?
Yeah, it's a challenge, but the job of your brand is to eliminate those clients before they even get to you. So your brand, but it's true, because you're trying to say this is what we're about bravery. And if you're about bravery, then we're the agency for you. And if they're not, then they hopefully shouldn't come. But I suppose a lot of what happens in most places is we usually have, here's a solid idea, here's another way we can execute it, and then here's the brave idea. And usually, you can persuade people into bravery if you have a good enough reason.
Do you ever create safe work at your agency?
It happens. It's like, I think, was it Ben that was saying, someone was saying it's really hard to get work out into the world. It is, it's tough. And, often when you're in big businesses, there's so many stakeholders. So these things do happen, but we need to keep striving for what we want to get to, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, what a day it has been, right?